Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Code with Italians. Today is my favorite day because it's Animations Day. I love animations. There's nothing I can do about it.
I mean,
Because,
what could go wrong?
yeah, I mean, they're nice. They're a great thing.
Yes.
And because we love to hear about things from people that know about them way better than we do, we went straight to the source and we got Doris to join us today. Hi, Doris. Welcome.
Hello.
Do you want
Welcome.
to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Doris. I'm a software engineer on the Android team. More specifically, working on Compose animation. I've been working on Compose since a little over 3 years ago. So I can say that I have 3+ years of Compose experience.
You're perfect for recruiters, right? You're like
But then they'll ask you
1.0 drops.
Given how it works, they'll probably ask you if you do PHP or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of hilarious recruiting emails where they're asking for 4 or 5+ years of Compose experience. So that's I'm at least getting close to that. So yeah, in the past 3 years, we've been working on I've been working on Compose animation, and prior to that, I was working on a range of different things in the realm of animation, ranging from animators to render thread animations to animated vector drawable. Yeah, that's pretty much it since about 2015. And then before 2015, I was in a couple other different groups at Google doing robotics and the Google Camera app for Android.
Oh, nice. So you've already said that you've worked on two of my favorite things on Android, so the animations and the camera app. So thank you.
Oh.
Robotics I cannot speak about. That's something I studied at uni, but I've never really done. So there's too much mathematics.
Oh,
Hey, I
that's,
like
that's a lot
pixels
of
and
truth.
shiny things. That's my thing. So
Nice.
our goal today is to, well, first of all, to look at animations as a whole. We already have a bunch of animated stuff in the application that we're working on, but I realized that we haven't really ever stopped and thought, okay, wait, we have found out about animation APIs and we have found out how to do things, but it's always been piecemeal. We have not really discussed animations as a broader topic, and I think there's a lot of very interesting things that we can still learn about animations. I will start by saying that I love the animation APIs in Compose. I'm not saying it because you're here, Doris. People in the chat are witnesses. It's not the first time I say this. So it's not because of you, but it's just really good.
Thank you.
Yes. We have proof. We have videos.
Yes,
with
that's the nice
testimony.
The nice thing about recording yourself and streaming yourself when you're pairing about your hobby project is that.
It's proof.
And I think it's gotten to the kind of ridiculous point where even just gets playing the animation bingo whenever we're working on something is just expecting me to say, oh, and we're gonna animate that.
yeah. There was it's getting a bit out of hand because everything that Sebastiano say, I mean, everything that it looks, oh, we could animate that. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, we could, but we should probably start thinking about, should we animate everything that you see? But because it's so easy. And it's even intuitive at some level, the way you can do things with Compose. This is something that we have been saying since the beginning. A lot of the APIs are just so intuitive that they become familiar like right away. And the animation, I'm not an animation person because well, I'm more like on the back end kind of person in the apps. I'm the one that does the boring stuff that nobody wants to do, like the analytics. And I leave the because it's I had a lot of issues wrapping my head around how you draw things, how you actually animate things. It was not as intuitive as it is nowadays in the past. And then you have like a new API every couple of Android version, the transitions. There's a lot of stuff changing, and it never felt like the return of investment of understanding and learning how to do it is going to pay off. Because, well, most of the time, even probably from my I was not lucky enough to have like a designer that were exploiting, leveraging the animation part of Android. You mostly copy pasting the iOS app. So that's an unfortunate life of a lot of Android developers. Yeah, I mean it gets said very quickly on this, so I don't want to go there. But yeah, truth is I'm enjoying a lot, and I always joking with Seb that wants to animate everything, but I'm completely on board with that because it's so nice, when you see the help that you get from the framework now. It's like, okay, oh, there is a one, there is a zero, and then you animate from it. And I was like, okay. And we had also some episodes with Mark, and I was like, okay, how are we gonna do it? Oh, no, it's just gonna do it by itself. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, it's like, I have been hating this stuff for like 10 years, and now, oh, no, it's just gonna do it by itself. It's just gonna animate, and it's magic. And I was like, okay, I hate it and I love it at the same time because, oh, this is so good. So thank you. We love it.
Yeah, it's, one of the goals for us, as far as animation goes, is we wanted animation to be a critical part of people's app in their first version of the app. We've done some user study in the past before we started Compose, and users have reported back. By users, I mean developers, because that's the users of our APIs.
Best kind of users.
Yeah, we have users reporting to us that animation is just not their first priority. It's something that they try to figure out once they have everything ready. But it feels like that's such a critical part of the app. It adds so much polish. So if you wait until V2 to do that, you're kind of losing out on a lot of the user experience. So yeah. One of our goals is to try to sneak animation into the V1, and that's I think it's easier said than done. And over the journey, we discover a lot of challenges, which I'm happy to share if you're interested. But the goal is to make it as easy as possible, as intuitive as possible, so that people can start writing animations as soon as they have the static version of their app. So.
Nice.
Yeah, love it.
I mean, this is just me, but I think you've done a lot to get people to actually, I don't want to say care about animations, because I think people like animations in general, but it's just like, it's always been outside of the reach of most, because apart for some minor cases where maybe you had a possibility to go and use animate layout changes, and that's something that in some situation it's good enough. But in terms of product thinking and development, what I feel with Compose is that you can actually make animations part of your V1 design, as you said, which is something that it was very, very hard to do, to consider before. If you were lucky, you would get like an animated drawable, or a Lottie animation from the design team, and that would be it.
Lottie animation all the time. It happens all the time because no. But I'm serious. But the thing is that it's unfortunate, and I don't want to go there again, but you got the Lottie animation because they made them for the iOS app, right? So and you get it for free because you can run them on Android, and then you're like, well, at least we can run them. But as Sebastiano said, you have it so easy now that you can even, like, from an engineering point of view, yeah, it's gonna be probably ugly. I mean, if I make it, it's gonna be ugly. But you can prototype like a very tiny animation, and then you can propose it, right? I mean, you can just drop it in, and then I was like, oh, Ivan, what's that? And I was like, oh yeah, because we thought it could be cool, and then you can probably get away with it. And we did this with animated vector drawable in one of my past because at one Friday afternoon we got bored and okay, let's understand how shapeshifter works, and then we and a bit of Inkscape here and a bit of shapeshifter on the other side, and we animated a couple of icons. Everybody loved them, and also we got a lot of shit from the designers because now they need to do all of them because people loved the couple of that we did. I was like, okay, now we need to understand how to do this stuff. So that was also nice, but again, it was something that you were sneaking in. You're right, like, okay, let's see if they like it. But if the return of investment is like the investment is huge, it would be like hard to sell. I mean, if it's something that I can do like with a couple of lines of code because I'm dropping a composable in there and it's gonna animate the visibility, and I was like, this is like just like a second to do it. I can run it in a demo. I can just leave it there, build it, and they're gonna install the internal and this, and then they're probably gonna give me shit or not. You never know. But it's like a tiny bit. So that this is fantastic for me.
Yeah, I can totally relate to the sneaking in a line of animation. So the part of the design principle is that if we make the animation, the default animation, simple enough to use, maybe we're hoping that people might just drop that one-liner, and then once they get to the V2 of their app, they can look at how do I configure this animation. Going from no animation to having animation is sort of a big step. But going from having animation to configuring the animation to learning a little bit more about the animation API, that seems like a marginal step. So we're hoping to to get you in the door.
I like that's smart. That's very clever. It's just 1.0, and then they're gonna ask you, can you change the duration? Can you change the alpha? Yeah, sure, why not? That's actually super clever. Nice, I love it.
Yeah, we're hoping it goes exactly like that. People would start with the animate foo as state, and then once they start using it, they will be asking, how do I change the curve? How do I change the timing? And then they'll learn about animation spec. And the animation spec is shared across all of the animation APIs. So once you have that, then you look at other animation APIs. You're like, animation spec. I know that API. I know what that means. So then you slowly ease yourself into this wider range of API coverage.
You say something about animate foo as state, right?
Yeah.
But there is also the animated something. So when do you use one and when do you use the other one? Because we have a few of them in the. I don't know if are you showing already the code, Sebastian?
No, not yet, but I can show the flow chart. Okay, let me pick up the flow chart and switch to it.
Oh,
the flow chart.
Okay.
It's kind of like in Toy Story when there's the aliens that say the claw. It's the same thing.
Yes, this is the infamous flowchart that gets quoted a lot. Some people like it. Some people find it a little intimidating because there's so many things listed here. So you were asking, when do you use animatable versus animate foo as state, which is on the bottom left here. So animate foo as state, you use that when you have a value that's changing strictly based on the state. So for example, alpha, in this enabled state, you want it to be 1, in the disabled state, you might want it to be 0.4, 0.3. But that's is a, in my opinion, a very well-defined use case. The value only changes when the state changes. No other things would affect the value. That's
Okay.
when you use animate
Yes.
as state. Whereas animatable is sort of this lower level construct that animate as state uses underneath. What it does is you specify a value, an initial value for the animatable, and then you call animate to, which is a very, very imperative way of using a very imperative API rather. You call animate to whenever you want it to change the value. So this gives you the ability to define a sort of a different initial value than the first target state. So for example, you can use animatable when you want it to start from a predefined value that is not a part of the state. You may have, for example, 0.4 and 1 as for your alpha, but you might want to start from 0, like fitting in for the first time. You can use that. And because animatable is imperative and gesture is imperative, it works well with gesture, and it doesn't require any specific state. So you can use animatable along with gesture and to even smooth over the gesture movement, although people don't usually use it for that. The most common use case for animatable is actually when you let go of at the end of the gesture, when you let go of the element that you're grabbing, there is a velocity. You can see that velocity into animatable.
Oh,
and
fancy.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's actually fancy. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be helpful to use it for animating progress. For example, you might be dragging from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, and then you're constantly converting that position of your finger as a progress, and then you can feed that into animatable. You can call animate to, and then that would create a sort of a chain that's linked on your finger. So the thing that you're dragging would always be lagging behind with a spring in between.
Nice.
Or you can just call snap to, so you'd be directly manipulating that element, and then when you let go, you can feed that velocity into animatable, but also saying, now I want to animate to progress 0 or 1 to either the left side of the screen or the right side of the screen, and it would preserve its moving velocity and then animate to that new position. So that's what
to complete. That's actually cool. That's actually cool. I'm so far from this stuff. So that's like, for me, it's like
Even
incredibly.
one day we'll get there.
Yeah, but because this is, it's something that there is a lot of UX behind this. The way what kind of information you convey with the animation. That's the theory, the UX theory, I guess we can call it, that you need to know to actually be effective, because I can just blink a text like it was 1995, but that won't give you like any kind of information, and UX, they won't improve. But probably, if you do things like, okay, while you are swiping or when the thing ends, and then you can actually convey a lot of information, and you can also teach somehow how to use the app using animations. That's but there is a lot of stuff that you need to know. So
animatable is actually one of the sort of APIs for us as well. In the beginning of the animation design, we're kind of questioning everything that we have in the view world as far as animation goes. We're thinking, do we really need to have developers specify a starting value for the animation? For example, if the animation is already ongoing, why do we ask for a start value that could potentially be inconsistent with your current value, and then create this jump? What if we have this API that just has this animate to. Every time you want to change the value, you animate to that new value. So starting from that initial value, all the value changes would be animated. Wouldn't that be nice? And we really questioned the previous design, the animators.
Chat.
But
Oops.
No, but at the same time,
Oops.
we're not 100% sure, because every time when we deviate from the previous design, there's a risk that there's some use cases that we didn't think of. Maybe it's an important use case. Maybe developers would prefer to specify a starting position, a starting value each time. But that was a very early stage, about 2.5 years ago, when we had the predecessor of this animatable API, which is called animated value and animated float. So at the time, we figure it was still early. Might as well just play with the idea.
I remember it.
So for the longest time, there's no snap to in animatable. It's just animate. And we wanted to stretch that idea a little and just do a sort of this extreme test and see how that's received. And quickly we received feedback from within the team. We have a group of engineers working on the material. They are the first testers of our lower level APIs in Compose UI and Compose animation, and they quickly report back, hey, we wanted to do some direct manipulation using gestures, and that requires the animation value to snap to our finger. What do we do? And there was an aha moment for us. So there is a use case where snapping would be a desired behavior, especially with gestures, because you often wanted to show how responsive the UI is to the gesture, that interrupting the ongoing animation, just starting a whole new animation is acceptable and even preferable. Like, for example, when you tap to like, and you want to show that heart animation, and then when there's a new tap coming in, that previous heart animation is still ongoing, you want to just forget about that and just start a new animation to show how responsive the gesture is or the UI is. So yes, there is such a use case, even though not super common. But I'm very glad that we ended up going with not asking a start value to be provided on each iteration, and that sort of paves the way for the later interruptible animation all across the API surface.
So you mentioned in passing earlier the term Spring. We have used the Spring animation spec, but we haven't really explained it. Am I correct in thinking that is essentially the descendant of the physically based animations that we have in the Vue world?
Yes. Yes, the concept is the same. The implementation is roughly the same as well.
So for those that don't know, in terms of the old APIs, I think we can call them the interpolators. I know that it's not the same thing, but my mental model is that an animation spec is kind of like setting, choosing which animation spec to use is kind of like choosing the interpolator to use in the old world. So for example, you have the basic one, which is linear. Is that a separate one or is that tween directly? I don't remember.
Linear interpolator or linear easing is a type of easing that's a parameter to the tween.
Right. Yeah. So there's tween, which is essentially an interpolation, and that's, I guess, the closest one to a old school interpolator, right?
Yes, the easing is essentially the interpolator.
Okay. Otherwise, you can have physically based animations, which are using the Spring animation spec. And I think that's the default pretty much everywhere, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a little nuance between interpolator and the Spring spec, in that the interpolator never tries to match the velocity. So if you were to interrupt your animation and to animate to a new value, using Spring would inspect where your current value and velocity are, and then create a curve, if you will, to ensure that you get to animate to the predefined target while maintaining the value and velocity when you start the new animation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the biggest difference is whether the velocity has a continuity.
Yeah, I always think about the example of the old physically based animations where you had a box and you could tap around the screen and the box would just move without jerking around, just keep on keeping momentum and then interpolating to the new animation direction it was supposed to have. And I guess that's the same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I just saw Mark on the chat that said that he's very happy that we're talking about easing instead of interpolation, interpolators, because that's the same terminology as designers. And yeah, that's actually very important. And I think that's where, like, a lot of I don't want to say a lot of it, but some of the difficulty of implementing animations in the view world was that we had our own way of expressing specs and things that was completely different from what someone would tell you if they were to, I don't know, to design the animation mockup in After Effects or something like that. They would use completely different terms, and we wouldn't really understand each other unless each side kind of knew what's going on the other one. So is that something that the new API is explicitly going for, or it's just a happy accident?
I vaguely remember After Effects using easing, but when we did the research to look at state of art across different platforms for animation, we noticed that easing is a more common of a terminology than interpolator, and we wanted to sort of move as closely as possible to the industry standard, so to speak, so that it's easy for people to understand what this is, and kind of eases up on the learning.
Got it.
I like the idea of, in domain-driven design, they always talk about ubiquitous language, right? That you yes. need to talk the same. So if we call the same thing with the same word across every team, it's gonna be better. It's gonna be easier, right? And this is super hard to. I have been struggling, for so many years, and when even the basic stuff, somebody calls the profile page and somebody else is called the account page or the settings screen, and they're like, can we just, so the idea of having the same terminology, it's a huge advantage when then you need to communicate and speed up things. So I love it.
Yeah, that goes along with our goal of making this as easy as possible for for you to get started. So having a similar mental model to what you're already familiar with, which just really helps with the learning.
Nice.
I just sorry, Ivan. Just one second. I wanted to tell everyone that is watching, if you do have any questions, please do ask them in the chat, and we will bring them up. We have a few questions that we wanted to ask Doris, and we're gonna start with those. But obviously, hey Doris in the chat.
But I'm pretty sure they're gonna be shared. I mean, because something that it's coming up in 1.1, so we have new stuff. Okay, so everybody probably wants to know what's happening in what's different. We have like the animated visibility scope, animated content that Ivan is just reading from the doc. So I don't know anything about this stuff. So I'm just reading the question. I mean, but I can sell it like, I know what I'm talking about. That's the only thing that keeps me afloat in the industry. But the reality is, can you explain What's coming? What are we getting in 1.10?
1.10.
I think it means 110.
110. Yeah. I mean, I can't read that time, but you get the point. Because I'm not a native speaker. I'm not a native speaker. So I don't know. I can't English anymore. It's late in the evening. Plus, I'm not sleeping much because I had a baby last week. So please bear with me.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thanks. Now, I'm running an experiment with Red Bull. How much Red Bull can even drink before an heart attack? So,
Let's hope we don't find out.
No, I want to fail. This is the only experiment that I want to fail at.
So for 1.1 or 1. Which one? What
1.1.
We don't
110.
110. Yeah, we don't really use the, or to us it's just a 2-week release cycle. What's the next? For the 110, for things that are strictly 110.
Scope, animated content. This is the things that I have on the doc.
Those are new, but they're also, I believe they are in 1.0.
Yeah, we do use them, by the way, in the app.
Yeah.
Sure. Whoosh.
Animated visibility. Actually, if you can scroll up to that chart again.
Yes.
Animated visibility.
Sorry, we have to say it like this now.
Animated visibility is as you can see, if you want to animate content, animate the show and hide of a particular element. Animated visibility is the recommended API, and I think your doc is slightly outdated because it doesn't show the animated content next to crossfade.
We are not the ones writing stuff on DAC.
You have that in the previous SVG version.
Okay.
Can you click on the SVG to update it maybe?
Well, I have it here.
Yeah, it's here. So animate or crossfade is what you use when you, instead of animating one thing in and out, you want to animate multiple things within the same container. So you may have a stack of things that you wanted to selectively hide and show based on a particular state. And this is when animated content or crossfade would be really useful compared to animated visibility, because animated visibility only is responsible for show or hide this one thing. If you were to show and hide one of the things in the stack, you would have to manage that stack on your own. That's why we created animated content, and that's also what's backing up the navigation transition, which I know you guys have done episodes on.
Yes.
The one of the new concepts that we introduced for animated visibility is called animated visibility scope. Fairly straightforward naming. What it does is it provides two things. One is a transition object. Do you have it here?
No. I've just done Control F5, so I don't really know what else I can do.
I think animated visibility is probably mentioned somewhere here, and then you can click the link to go to the animated visibility scope.
That I can do. So there it is.
There you go.
Yeah. There are two things provided within animated visibility scope. One is this modifier called animate enter exit. Can you go? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
This example.
One.
Yeah. This is a good example. So that as I mentioned, the two things that animated visibility scope provides. One is the modifier called animate enter exit. This allows you to animate the hide and show of the children of animated visibility without creating additional nested animated visibilities. And then the other thing is transition. So it's used here, val scale by transition that animate float. Yeah, and that transition is the transition that's provided by animated visibility scope.
Oh, okay. So this would show up now if I upgrade it to 1.1.
Oh, no, 1.0. It's in 1.0.
Oh, 1.0. Okay. Because one of the drawbacks that I've noticed of using animated visibility, for example, over a transition is that in Android Studio, in the animation inspector, the transition wouldn't show. But there is a transition, right?
Yes, there is a transition, and in
Okay.
fact, we are working on supporting animated visibility in Studio, and we have something
Nice.
working already. So expect to see some new tooling pretty soon.
Nice.
Best kind of news.
Spoiler.
But
That's
I have to say the thing I really like I think animated visibility was my first stable animation stable animation API that I used, and the fact that it's so easy to just make things appear and disappear, I love it. It's so great, and in fact we have abused with Mark's help animated visibility in our time picker, which I think you've actually reviewed the code for at some point. I think Mark talked to you, or maybe it was some other animation. I don't know. I just know that we have to thank you for something somewhere in our code base.
Is it the animated content for the time picker where the
Yeah, I think that was
numbers go up and down?
Yeah. I don't even remember if we used. I think it was that one, but yeah, whatever. I'll find it. Don't worry. No, I need
the strike through animation. Mark is saying the strike through animation.
Yes, right.
Oh.
It was
the
actually very nice. I learned a lot. Yeah, because
overlay. This one,
yeah.
And I actually Mark explained it to me already, but I've kind of forgotten. So I'm gonna ask again. Why is this a good idea here?
Oh, so the progress.
Yes.
Because the progress is being animated out somewhere. Where did you animate the progress? The progress is being animated in composition. It's probably animate float as state, right? Animate float as state.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a transition animate float.
Yeah, or animate float. Yeah. So as you know, Compose has 4 work stages. The first one, so stage 1, composition. Stage 2, measure. Stage 3, layout. Stage 4, draw. And it always goes in this sequence, because otherwise you won't have the data consistency. And if you can defer your state read into a later stage, then we can skip the previous stages and only do stage 3 and stage 4, or even stage 4, which is the draw only. Here we have the progress being animated as a part of the transition. If we're reading that value out in composition, which is stage 1, then all of the following stages must happen in order to properly update the UI. And but the progress is not really used in composition. So here I was recommending having that progress be read in, I think, draw stage.
Yeah, in draw overlay. So I guess
Draw stage. Yes, in draw stage, and draw stage is the stage 4. So if you can delay the state read, each of these stage has a snapshot observer. So and that tracks the state read. And every time when the state gets updated and you're reading that state based on the reads that it has tracked, it then invalidates a scope. And obviously the narrower the scope that gets invalidated, the less work the UI has to do and the more performant it is. So here, if we're reading it in the draw stage, we only need to invalidate the draw stage. So the next frame, if assuming nothing else happens on the UI, which is often the case, assuming nothing else happens in the UI, just this animation, and this animation is only read in the draw stage, so only draw will happen over and over per frame. This is equivalent to invalidate the draw in the view world.
So this is working for us in this case because, first of all, this overlay only affects the draw state, the draw phase. It doesn't affect anything else. So what we want to do is we want to pass a value that to the Compose compiler is essentially stable. It never changes because it's always the same lambda. But then the Compose compiler, well, the runtime, I guess, just sees that whenever we run draw again, this has changed. How does it? Is this the right mental model that I developed? Okay.
Yes, because the first time you go through this and you get to the draw stage, and then this lambda gets invoked. So then the state read is tracked here. So essentially, Compose knows here in the draw stage you are reading this particular state value. So when the next frame comes around, animation updates that state. Compose knows, oh, last frame this I know this particular draw scope uses that value from the state that's being updated. So let me invalidate that. This is using the lambda is one of the ways to avoid unnecessary recomposition. The other way is just to pass a state type. So here you can pass a state of float. That would be
okay. We saw it. We have it in. I mean, it was last episode with Adam. At some point, we were clicking through things and we stepped on something that was a state of float, but it was private. I remember, but I'm not familiar with the type itself. So how would it look? Because now the performance part
was something here.
Because it's so easy to do animations. Now for people like me, it comes a moment where I need to know if I'm holding it right or wrong. Like, if I'm serious, because it's like, oh, it animates, and then you don't realize that maybe you are actually killing the performance because you're recomposing all the time, or you're doing something heavy that you shouldn't do that often. Performance is, it's something that I would like to know more in this context. So I like the idea of the lambda that kind of tricks the the compiler in a way. Oh yeah, it looks like the previous one, but actually it's not. So that's
I think it's not even just tricking it. My understanding is that the compiler is smart enough to know that the value of the lambda depends on the animated state. But the lambda itself hasn't changed, so it doesn't need to recompose. It just needs to refresh, like re-invoke the lambda in the draw state.
Yeah, you can think of it as delay the state read as late as possible, just right before you use it. You then read the state. That will limit the scope of invalidation as much as possible. But this is sort of a performance tip. But if your UI isn't all that complex, I don't think you really need to worry about the performance hit from just animating a value and read that in composition. Only when the UI gets more complex and when you're trying to squeeze every microseconds out of the performance, that's when it becomes useful to know about these tips. But I don't think if you're just starting, I don't think that's something that you need to worry about firsthand.
But you will advise that this is still a good habit to have,
yes,
right?
Definitely.
I mean, if you scale at some point, this good habit will help you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you reach a point where you are animating, because I'm saying this because I know that we are gonna get there in a couple of months with Sebastiano, and we will be animating the fuck out of it. So I know for sure that at some point this thing is gonna turn to be very useful, like, because it's gonna be running like a gazillion animations at the same time. And one of the questions that I had is like, I'm a very simple person from an animating kind of point of view, and I have the old view mindset where you actually get for free a few things like the scale, the alpha, and do we, and they don't they are not heavy on the like redrawing thing, right? From a relayout point of view, a couple of they are, I say free, but they are not free. But they are, you get the point, right? Like they are. I'm not killing the phone if I just want to do. How does it work with Compose? Do we? Am I safe? Can I do?
Can I?
Can I just kind of do the same? Like yeah, whatever, without worrying too much. Do we get something like this?
Yeah, you definitely get some optimization, performance optimization from animating the properties that are affecting the graphics layer. The tip there is try to use the graphics layer modifier that takes a lambda instead of taking a value directly. So there's the modifier dot alpha, modifier dot scale. Is if you're animating the scale or alpha, try not to use those because that would that takes a raw float value that you need to resolve in composition, which then triggers the composition measure layout draw. And if you're using the lambda, then that lambda gets invoked in, I think it's in placement, so layout, in layout stage. Measure and compose, which are the more heavyweighted performance-wise stages, won't participate when you animate scale, for example. And if you are animating alpha alone, I think that's even further optimized because that doesn't even affect the placement. So you'll be just updating the layer every frame. That's essentially the same as the previous, the previous view world when you update the alpha.
It gets back to this, postpone the evaluation, and it feels like more like a lot of the functional world where you have the lazy evaluation. You declare the things and then you just not resolve them in an eager way. Like you have to give the thing a float, and well, turns out that if they need the float, and you need to give them the float, but if you give them a lambda, it's like yeah, whatever, yeah, whenever you need it, you're just gonna get it. So you have to, you kind of postpone as much as possible, so that it feels like a similar concept, like more
Yes.
like a lazy evaluation kind of thing.
Yeah, that's sort of exactly why we changed our APIs from animate. You guys might remember there's a there's this animate, sort of magical animate API that takes a value of float, integer, dp, and then returns that float, integer, or dp instead of the animate foo as state. And it's sort of the predecessor of animate foo as state. It's just this one animate function, and you just wrap it around anything that you wanted to animate. The challenge there is that because it returns the value directly, it triggers composition that is not necessarily that doesn't necessarily need to be a part of the animation. Like I mentioned, a lot of times if you're animating from 0 to 1 for alpha purposes, you don't really need to recompose or measure for that matter. But if we had that animate API, you would be reading the new alpha value in composition every frame and then triggering, unfortunately, the measure and layout and draw.
Sounds underperforming. potentially, because you might get away with it if it's just a small part of the compose hierarchy, I guess. But if you happen to do that at a higher level, then, as Mark says, it sounds expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love aside from this, I really love the animate API. But we have unfortunately removed it due to performance implications.
Fair enough. So I actually wanted to ask you something that I got shouted at on the last stream for, and it's this. So we have implemented swipe to dismiss on these cards, right? And you can see that it has there's the card behind, and it has a corner radius. I wanted to animate the corner radius. Do you think that's crazy?
Oh, dude,
No, that's not crazy.
Jesus, we are doing this again. Mark, can somebody say something in the chat, please? Okay, I'm just gonna, yeah, please.
But yeah, jokes aside,
no, that's not crazy at
is
all.
that something that is?
Don't enable it. Do not enable.
Hey! I invited Doris, so she would enable me. No, jokes aside, is changing the corner radius of a rounded rectangle an expensive thing to animate? That was the serious question. Or
no.
Because I remember in the old view system, if you changed the outline shape constantly, that was quite expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. This sort of ties back to the topic we just discussed. To animate the corner radius, you would need to animate a DP value and you need to read that DP value in composition, in order to then feed that into a rounded corner shape. So yeah, in essence, we don't provide any APIs to delay that read in the later stages, without having to write something custom. So, but I don't think that would be a huge performance hit, even if composition is involved for this particular. Yeah, I don't think. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't. I mean, we can try it if you want.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's. Also, Mark has a
go
question
for it.
From the chat. Isn't it going to invalidate the shadow rendering?
That is a great question.
Yeah, I mean that's why we have him in the chat, because we I mean, that's the only way that we can have, smart people asking things, because me and Seb, yeah, sure.
I just want to animate things. I don't know why.
Yeah, and I'm here for the stickers, so I mean, whatever, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. Thanks for asking that. I didn't consider the shadow changing, but yeah, why don't we give it a try and see whether we will notice any performance.
So would it make sense here to have a provider function in this case? Considering that I don't have access to the state here, so I need to pass it down a couple of levels. Because this, let me go back 1 second, it might be easier. So we have the swipe to dismiss state here. And then we have our composable that contains the card here. So I would have to pass down the card radius here. And this would be where we end up using it. So would this make sense to pass still a producer lambda for, or can I just pass the value?
Here is just a couple calls up the stack, so that or down the stack, down the call stack. So I don't think it matters that much, especially given the UI is simple. It's not like skipping a whole work stage. But generally speaking, yeah, if it's not if it's convenient to do it, then I would recommend delaying the read.
So I just wanted to get the actual corner radius dot corner size. I guess they're all the same, so I can pick any of them. Top start, that's fine. And I guess instead of passing the actual DP size, I just want to pass a factor so I can go to 0 and make it like a make it look like a rectangle when it's all exposed. So let's say corner radius factor, and that would be something here, which is
You could also consider passing in a state of float,
okay.
a state object.
Oh yeah, let's do this. I want to see how it looks like, please.
So like this.
Yeah, I know. I'm 5 years old. I know. Let's do the new thing. Let's do the cool thing.
Okay. Oh, I think this is corner size. I need to get the DP value. Can I get the value out of this?
Yeah, maybe have the corner radius factor be a state of DP instead.
Does that work?
Yep.
It seems very confused. Oh yeah, because of this though. No, I think it still doesn't know.
Oh, it doesn't.
No,
It doesn't have
I think the problem here is the corner size, which is an interface and it's in pixels. So I need the local density. So I guess it's fine to use float here.
Yeah.
And this is 2px and shape size. Oh god, this is gonna be annoying. So to get this, I think the easiest thing to do is to actually cheat and see. Yeah, it's 4 dips. That's good enough.
Oh, this is what I love. You just click, you get to the source code. Oh, that's how they are doing it. Copy and paste.
Okay, so it looks like dip by float is okay. So now we need to pass that in, and I think we can actually assume that it's always returning 1f. Right, no, sorry. This do you do mutable state of if you want the default value here?
Default value. Yeah, maybe remember mutable state of.
So remember mutable state of 1f. No? Doesn't like it? Shouldn't need it. Remember calls must not return unit. I don't think this returns unit. Does it? Have I screwed up something? I probably have screwed up something. Oh, it's an interface.
It returns a state.
Yes.
Ah.
Is
it like a builder of some sort? Yeah, here you go. Nice.
I always forget that. Okay. So we have this and we say, okay, if we don't have a factor passed in, then it's always 1, which is okay. And then we go where this is used, which is here. Yeah, okay. And here we have our bye. Someone leaving. Bye-bye. Have a good one. So we have the where is it? The dismiss state, and that should tell us the swipe offset that we currently have. So dismiss state offset, which is state of float, that could already be okay, although I think this is the offset, like it goes from 1 is the left hand side, and well, 0 is the left hand side and 1 is all the way there. I don't know, we'll figure it out. We can just try and run it and see how that goes, because this is probably not going to do what I want it to do, because I think it's gonna start with corner radius with a factor of 0, right? I think we'll see. Yep. Also, it seems like I've applied it to the wrong thing. Lol.
Yeah,
it is definitely.
It's on the
definitely should be on the background and not here. Oops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oops.
Yeah, but I can see like yeah.
That was close.
Look at that.
Whoa.
Look at that.
That was actually unexpected. I didn't see that coming, but okay. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
it was still easy to do, right? There was
yeah. Yeah.
still
I'm gonna take this one out,
I mean,
and I'm gonna take this one out. I need to put them on the background, which is here. So I need to paste in this one, okay, and I need to use it here. So the background is a shape, but I don't want to do that. I want to do rounded corner shape, which has 4.pp times corner radius factor dot value, and this is actually wrong. This should be 1f minus that because we want the reverse.
This is a tiny little change. I don't know. I wonder whether it would be obvious visually.
Let's see. Well, it crashes, so it's quite obvious.
did it crash?
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually definitely noticeable.
You didn't see anything.
Ouch.
It's all perfectly fine. Corner size in pixel
Corner
can't
size
be
in
negative.
pixel.
Yeah, as I suspected,
That's
this can actually go -1. So YOLO. Let's try it. Let's see if this works.
Sebastiano, they are asking about the shortcut for the clipboard history. Is it like Control-Shift-V?
Yes, and on Mac is you can see the shortcuts for everything that I do down here, by the way. So it's Control-Shift-V on Windows and Linux and Command-Shift-V on Mac. And it's one of the best features of your IDE that you've never heard of. I'm not even joking. It's brilliant. Oh, it keeps crashing.
No. I mean,
what was it?
Yeah, it seems like the problem here is the radius is greater. Yeah, is the radius. The corner
right.
radius
Yeah, it
factor
should be.
greater than-
Yeah, it should be the absolute value of this. But yeah, we need to coerce this value somehow outside of here. I think it's still worth putting the absolute value here because we don't really know what we're gonna get past, but I was thinking, well, course at most 1f. That should be enough. I'm just trying things out a bit random, but
go for it.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's you can see it. It's wrong, but it's happening. So it's doing something. You can see doing. Yeah, it's.
Oh.
Kind of. I think the. We need to check the. I don't think the offset is normalized between 0 and 1, so that might be the issue here. So dismiss state offset. Let's add the name here. Okay. So I want this is the offset, which is a state. So I probably need to create another state to contain the actual value, right? Because I'm gonna have to transform this to the unacceptable range for us between 0 and 1. So I guess what we do is val current radius factor, which is remember of mutable state off. This is going to be the fun part. Now we have this dot value. And then we need to normalize it between, I don't even know what values, but I can figure something out. Maybe like.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh,
Oh, this is something that you probably didn't know before, Doris. We have a system. So the users that watch the stream, they can actually earn channel points that we call Italian points, and they can actually use them on the chat to buy things. And things that they can buy is like, things like oh, drink a sip of water or stretch. But they also can buy variables names and function names.
Okay.
So that's yeah. So that's why over time you will probably see a few variables that are a bit weird, that they, because somebody just bought the name during the live stream, as Mark just did. So the next variable is gonna contain Kulo coin. Yes, I'm reading it aloud live on Twitch. That apparently is a sort of a joke of a cryptocurrency, and yeah, it's very very Italian. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, for buying this, playing with us.
Okay, so there is a dismiss state of progress that I'm trying to use instead, because this is theoretically what we want, but it doesn't seem to do much. So I'm not entirely sure about what value is there.
There is a suggestion in the chat. Somebody is saying, I think you need to know the max value of the offset to normalize it. Is it still relevant?
That's kind of what I was trying to do, but I don't really know what is the maximum value. Like, I have offset, but I don't really have. Is it? I don't think it's overflow either. Like, I only have offset, but it doesn't tell me. Like, it's a, I guess, a pixel value, and that doesn't tell me what is the maximum value that it can take. So I don't really know how to do it. So I'm trying to play around with the progress fraction. What is this complaining about? Oh, it's experimental. Yeah,
well,
it's fine. It's in the debugger. YOLO. I don't care.
It's gonna. Yeah.
Except I should care because it's not working. Can I just... No. Can I... No. Damn. If I just print that, does that... No, it doesn't seem
it
to...
doesn't...
Yeah, so it doesn't seem
the debugger
to...
doesn't... Oh, here you go.
No. I just snoozed the notification by mistake because I flung it off of the screen, and I have a bunch of old breakpoints that aren't really needed anymore. But it should come back in a second. Yeah, it's back now. So, yeah, I'm not sure why...
It doesn't not picking the breakpoint.
Okay, I'm gonna... Whenever this recomposes, I'm gonna be doing the worst possible thing.
No. That's the only debug tool that the real developer needs, like print line. That's it, right? Let's log it to console.
Yeah, but I have to restart it, which is annoying. I would rather not.
I do print line debugging all the time also.
Okay. So let's see. I need the... Yep. Oh.
Here you go. Okay.
Yes, because I am silly, and I might have forgotten to do this.
Yeah, to actually call it. Well, a bit. I mean, the print line worked, right?
Yeah, it did print line. So the thing is, it starts at 1, and if I move it, it doesn't seem to...
It doesn't change. Yeah. But
oh, that's probably because you're doing remember. You're putting it in remember here. That it only gets evaluated once. If you do instead derived state of, I think, yeah, derived state of.
Okay. Wow,
I didn't know this existed.
Yeah, what is this, Doris? I mean, you can't just drop this kind. Oh yeah, just do the state of. And I was like, what the fuck? What happened?
Yeah, there's another change that needs to be made inside the derived state of. You need to return a float.
Yeah. So not mutable state of, but just the value, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Mark. Oh, thank you, Mark. I was getting worried you weren't trolling me yet. Yeah, look at it. Look at it. It's doing something. Not the right thing, but it's doing something.
Okay.
And then it crashed.
But did it crash?
But I don't know if
but
it's just a random crash, whatever. I don't know. But
no, but look at the numbers. I mean,
yeah, I am going to
can you
restart the
clean
app
the
1
log?
second.
Yeah, can you?
Okay, so it starts at 1. I move
So
it to the
1.0.
right.
Jesus, that's a very small number there.
Yeah, but it's 0.1. Yeah, then it goes back to, I think yeah, this is the maximum I went to the side. So I guess the corner radius fraction we're using here. So this seems fine because it's responding to swipe, but we need to multiply it so that it takes, I don't know, a fifth of the swipe, or maybe a sixth of the total swipe to actually animate the whole corner radius. Let's see. Let's try 6. And just in case, course at most.
Just because, you know, I
don't trust.
Restrain the value. I don't care why
Yeah, I don't
care if it's.
Yeah, this goes
2.
between 0 and 1. That's fine, but I want to make sure, because if I swipe beyond 1/6, then it would go over 1, and that I'm sure would crash something somewhere. So
yeah.
I'm trying to be
point.
proactive about it. Okay, so it starts at 1. So there's already something weird there, but
look at that. Okay.
It's not great, but it's trying. Okay, so.
Yeah. But I don't understand. I'm gonna ask like a very stupid question, but shouldn't be starting from 0. Am I getting it completely wrong?
It should, but it kind of does. Like you see, it starts from 2 at a -5, 9 at a -4.
Yeah,
it's just when it's idle, instead of being 0, it's 1. I'm not sure why.
Can you drag it on the other side? There's a it crashes. Okay, thank you.
It crashes.
Thank you.
Because something, probably. I'm sure there's some weird calculation I haven't done.
What is missing in the map?
What?
Wait, what? The cores at most probably use some sort of internal.
No, it's the line before. Map. It's the print line that is exploding. Because I don't know.
Print line is crashing. Okay, now we have a problem. Now I'm with Mark with this. Right now I'm with Mark, because this is, I mean, how can you crash print line?
I think the issue here is that it's looking for the anchors. Like the get value bound. Here is the one that is throwing. And I guess that value that it's looking for doesn't really exist in the anchors. Don't ask me why. It's just that's it. I don't know enough about how the internals of swipe to dismiss to know. But yeah, it looks weird though. Like, because this is get progress. But why would get progress do bounce.size 1? I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Bounds, find bounds. If no swipe or animation is in progress, there's return swipe progress value 1F. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess the first thing we can do is here we can do if dismiss state because there is animation running.
Okay.
Then we use the progress.
To this.
Else we return 0f because
0. Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh no, actually, we want to return 1 here. Or 0.
Oh,
I don't
thank
know.
you.
Let's try 0 and see. Thank you for the sub.
Thank you for the sub.
Yeah, okay. 0 was correct. So there's that. But then it doesn't do anything more than that.
Wait, but there was a like
I got
a sharp
distracted by
corner.
the chime and I wasn't looking. Let me run it again.
No, I mean at the end when you probably let it go, it became
Yeah.
sharper.
Right,
See, it,
right.
Yeah.
it becomes
Oh,
like
because
a
of
pointy.
this.
The
I
animation
guess-
is animation running is only referring to after you let go. It's it's moving without you directly manipulating it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Or yes.
I guess this is.
Do we have something
or-
else?
Oh yeah,
Another
yeah. I have.
Boolean or sort.
I mean, that's gotta be different from 0, right? 0f. Because if the offset is 0, then it should be moving. I don't know. I'm just YOLOing this.
I mean, but even one is different than 0, but then it's not moving when it's 1.
Ah, look at
right?
it,
Oh,
look
look
at
at
it.
that! Look at that! Look at that!
It
Yeah.
works. It's janky
Is that,
and it crashes,
and it's doing
but it
the
works.
opposite. But should we be? No. So
No, it's
this
doing
is
what
the
I
correct
wanted it to do.
direction, right?
It's doing the
when
right
you swipe,
thing.
it gets pointy. Okay. So it's actually doing it.
Yeah, it's just
But
somewhere. This one. It's
Swipe
pointing to the
forget
wrong line,
progress.
which fills me with confidence about it. But yeah, it's again the same get progress issue where it's saying,
Yeah.
I don't know what that progress is.
But is it the only crash that we have? I mean, can you just run for the sake of it? Just run it
So
again.
if I do this, you see, it goes like it animates
that-
the
it
corner
works.
radius. If I drop it, it flashes the corner radius there
Yeah,
for
that's-
some reason, but I think it's probably because of this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's not running the animation.
Let me try
Can you-
without that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's crashing when you move it on the left, right? When you swipe left.
no, it's actually doing Wait. It's
Where was it?
doing the right thing. Oh, okay.
Oh, fuck me.
It's because we have the hack in place to make it stay a bit on the side, I think.
Wait. You mean it's Saddam's fault?
Yes, it's Adam's fault. Well, well,
now everything is clear.
well,
okay.
if we were to be precise, I think the problem is that there is no built-in way in the swipe to dismiss composable to be partially showing what's underneath. Because
so whose fault is it? Chris Baines?
I don't know. I think the swipe to dismiss composable is immaterial. So Clara, maybe.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Let's do annotate. Let's do annotate. Git blame on the source code. Blame someone else driven development. I like it. I mean, I like the attitude, Mark. Finger pointing driven development. But jokes aside,
yeah, I mean, it does
Where is
like it
Passion?
does this, which is what I wanted to do, which is I think quite nice.
yeah, that's nice.
It still has
This
the
is weird.
small
like,
issue of crashing when it's done.
Yeah. Okay. So
Minor
can
inconvenience.
Can you try catch? Can you try catch something to just control
Inside
the
of
crash?
a hot
I
path,
just want.
I don't know if it's a good idea because it's expensive.
I don't know. I mean, it's better than let it crash, right?
Yeah, but I was wondering maybe
Uh,
if there's a better way to do it. I don't know.
But you are always so positive, right?
I try and then I fail and I get depressed, but I don't get depressed until I failed, right?
Okay, that's also nice. Plus, there is the drinking that can help eventually.
Yeah, but not now.
So where is actually?
So the
What
crash
can
is
we do
always
with
the
this?
same. It's the way the swipeable
Get
state
progress.
handles the anchors, because the problem is that we don't control the anchor points. Like this stuff here is determined by the swipeable. Actually, it's not the swipe to dismiss. It's the swipeable modifier. Which has as the swipeable state. And I think part of the issue here is that it's actually manipulating the anchor places, or rather the swipe to dismiss is manipulating the anchors, but we don't have access to that. Like this stuff here, swipe to dismiss, it's creating them, but then yeah, it just passed them down to the swipeable modifier. So I'm not entirely sure. And I don't want to get to the point where I fork the swipe to dismiss composable, but
no, but why would it crash? I don't understand. So it's looking for something in a map.
Yeah.
But what is looking for? Like a progress, like a value of a progress.
It's looking in
doesn't have
this map. And
okay, but I don't know what contains anchors.
My understanding is that anchor, looking at what swipe to dismiss does, the anchor, if you have directions start to end. So anchors is a map of I guess
float,
like an offset of some sort.
Okay.
In pixels, because it's taking the width as well.
The width.
So it has one state always, which is the default state, which has a value of 0. And then if you also can swipe start to end, then it adds another anchor, which is the width to dismiss to end. And if you have the other direction, then it does minus, so off the screen on the left-hand side for the other one. I think the error is occurring somewhere between the chair and the keyboard. But isn't that how all bugs work, Mark? Some chair and some keyboard somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just obsessing over this, which is probably a pointless thing to obsess over. I was mostly curious to see how it worked and if I could make it work. But I think we have more interesting things to talk about. And I can I can try. And
in the meantime, can you file a bug? Because either way, it shouldn't crash.
I will file a bug. It looks like I don't know. It's just my luck, but I find and break all the things. It's a fairly common occurrence. So, but the nice thing about it is that we have an open source project. We just link to it and say, hey, this crashes. So finding issues is actually fairly easy.
We also have a video recording that shows the crashes.
Also that.
So that's also easy to point to. So
here's the steps to reproduce this.
Yeah, watch the video.
Watch the video. Minor, minutes 19. But do we want to put this on hold and try something else?
Yeah. Go for pick another question even.
Oh, let's see what I have here. Okay, so we are back to things that Ivan wants to do easily because he's a spoiled kid. So I have a lot of animation that comes for free with the recycle views, right? When you like add an item, remove an item, things like that. Okay, so they are like super fancy, and then I don't have to do anything. And they look cool, and they are very, very easy to do. It's just basically you don't need to do anything. But with how how does it work with lazy column? So I love lazy column because, well, you can write basically a list with 5 lines instead of like a gazillion of fucking view holders and adapters. So you already have my love on that side. Love Jetpack Compose. People, I love you. But from an animation point of view, what's the direction? So are we getting things?
Please.
Please, I'm like just I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking for a friend. So for me, I don't care about this stuff. I'm asking for a friend.
Yes, there's actually some work ongoing for adding add and removal animations and also reorder animations to lazy column. The lazy column manages the offset of all of its items, and part of that is sort of opaque to developers. And in fact, we don't really want you to worry about the positioning of items when the items is out of the viewport, is not even in the composition tree. And as a result, that adds challenge to reordering, because when you reorder things, then items that weren't in the viewport would show up in the viewport, and we need to know where it should have been, even though it wasn't laid out, where it should have been, in order to sort of animate the item into the viewport in the right direction. And then also for add and removal, right now you can use animated visibility to work around the issue that we don't have add and remove support for lazy column animation, but that's something that we're adding. We're looking at the API shape for that. We might use animated visibility scope to also allow you to provide some custom, say, corner radius change when you add things, add new items onto the screen.
Nice.
Okay.
I know
nice,
that's
nice. This is good for me.
I know that's a fairly frequently requested feature, so I'm sure you're gonna make a lot of people happy when you ship that, and I'm personally looking forward to that. I know it's a huge pain, but at least, I mean, according to EAT, we don't know if it really is, but EAT has always said it's really complicated, so we tend to trust EAT.
Well, you didn't have the new animation system to work with.
Fair enough. But I mean, the fact that he had to come up with diff utils first because he didn't have Compose to do the diffing for him, that was it's a lot of the work is done already, right?
Yeah, he came up with the algorithm when he was on vacation. We were sharing an office at the time, and he went to Mexico for a vacation, and he came back very excited. He's like, "Hey, I came up with this algorithm to diff the two lists while on vacation."
I mean, you're doing it wrong. I mean, I'm grateful, but you're doing vacation wrong.
Yeah, I think Hugo in the chat was saying that he tried animating, adding and removing with lazy column, but he failed. I gave it a small try as well. It didn't really work out, but I think there's just too much. Maybe it's because of the subcomposition going on under the hood in the lazy column that breaks some assumptions. I'm not sure.
What did you try?
I think what I tried was whenever an item is removed, I tried to. That was some time ago. I was still way more than a noob than I still am at Compose, and I think what I tried was using animated visibility to fade out something. I didn't care about moving everything else around, but just moving, dissolving the one item out. But it didn't really work. But I'm quite sure it was because I screwed up something.
The trick there is to make sure that the animated visibility is only removed after the animation has finished. So in other words, when you add an item, you can add the animated visibility onto the screen right away, and then the animated visibility will take care of animating in. But on the way out, you have to delay the actual removal of the item. You need to trigger the animated visibility first, and then once it's done its job, of animating things out, then you can then remove the animated visibility from the composition.
Yeah.
That way you get the complete exit animation. But that does require a lot of manual wire up, and so hopefully when we provide an API, you won't need to do that much manual work on your end.
Yeah, I love being able to animate stuff without having to make the effort to animate stuff. So
Yeah, I feel you.
yeah, there's just not enough words in my vocabulary to express how happy I am when I can make things look nice without going crazy. So
yeah, we understand that animation is usually not a requirement for apps. So we wanted to so there's not really a strong incentive for a lot of people to animate things, and that really sets an even higher bar for the APIs to be as easy as possible, so
and
as mindless as possible.
yeah, I think animation is also one of those things that nobody really thinks about, especially like I worked at an agency for a long time, and clients just didn't care. So we would be able to sneak in some animations here and there because we cared and we wanted to make things nicer. But they didn't really care until we got to the point where we started actually shipping our own, we call them sparkles. And some of the sparkles were, the animations, like a small transition, something like that. And they were like, oh, that's nice. You're like, yeah, you just need time to do that stuff. So in one of the projects that we worked on, that I actually worked on with Mark as well, when we were working at the same place that Ivan is working now, because it's a small world. We
the industry is this big.
yeah, we actually managed to get some time assigned on every sprint to make sparkles, and those could be like a small Easter egg.
Nice.
I know Mark did an amazingly nice Easter egg for that application that I think we had to remove at some point because they didn't. The brand guidelines were like, no, you cannot do that.
Nah,
which was
I
a
imagine.
shame because it was a very, very nice animated logo. Let's put it that way. And yeah, the nicest thing was to be able to use things that work out of the box, such as animate layout transitions, animate layout changes. Sorry, to get that minimum amount of animation that like you really don't need much time to make it work. You just need the time to think where it makes sense to use it. And just because things move around, yes, right, Mark. Because because things are animated instead of having a clear cut, it gives so much of an impression of quality and polish if it's done sensibly, obviously, that's the thing I love about animations. And that's also the same thing. Like the reason I love animations is that they give they are one of the main components. Motion in general is one of the main components that to me gets your application or anything really from okay to great. And when I do talks as well, my keynote presentations tend to have like one content slide and 15 animation slides afterwards. So it's like I love it. And I think it's just like it brings things to life in a way that static content just cannot do.
Yeah, I'm glad you like the animate layout changes. I was working on this concept of animate placement. We have this animate content size modifier. So I'm working on a animate placement modifier so that whenever the placement changes within its parent, it would animate to the new position. So if you think of a flow layout where you have row by row of elements, and then whenever the elements grows or get removed, then it either reflow the whole thing, pushes the item, to the next row, and then again and again, or bring the element to the row before. So in that use case, is particularly interesting if you can animate the placement. If you can just simply put the animate placement modifier on each of the on each of the children of any layout, then you get this sort of I wouldn't say coordinated, but or somewhat chaotic movement of everything, animating its reflow. I don't have the API ready yet, but it is definitely one of the things that I'm
so
working
looking
on.
forward to that.
Yeah, but this is the stuff that I'm craving from the new Jetpack Compose way of building apps, because what Sebastiano said, it was like when you say that animation can give you like you can bring your app to another level, right? For me, that has always been a risk, because I never felt confident enough to say, okay, I'm building this transition, it's going to be fluid and people are going to like it, right? I always felt like, okay, I'm super unsure if this thing is going to feel like sluggish on like $100 phone. And then, and then the designer is going to come up to me and say, oh yeah, look at the iOS version running on €1,000 phone, look how smooth it is. And I don't want to have that conversation, and most of all, I don't want to go to jail. So I don't want to find myself in a conversation with a designer comparing like $100 Samsung running my animation.
You're lucky if it's a
against
Samsung.
1,000. Yeah, let's say, statistically speaking, okay, let's say that, you know what I mean. I was like, I always lived in this weird limbo where, okay, I can do like a shared element transition, like I have a recycle view, I have a detail screen, I'm gonna just animate the card. And then you run it on your Samsung and it looks okay, and then somebody from QA just opens a bug because, oh, this looks like shit on this phone. And you can't actually, at some point you get tired of having that conversation. It's like the pixel perfect Android app, right? Oh yeah, it looks perfect on one iPhone and this looks different on like 15 million different Android, and you're like, this is not how it works. So animation animations for me lived in that realm. I can't guarantee you that they are not gonna suck on like a small device, like a slow device. So I'm just gonna skip it. The idea, if they are not requiring the animation, I'm just gonna, with Compose, I feel more confident, that the animations are like that, especially as Sebastiano said, the tiny ones, the micro animations that you get, like, I mean, I'm not talking about the fancy corner thing that he wants to do, but the visibility thing, the tiny things that you can get away with very little effort, and you're confident they are gonna look nice. You can sell it easily. I can run it on my Samsung, €1,000 Samsung, and they're gonna look okay, but they are also gonna look okay on some random Xiaomi or some, and so that's something that I'm looking forward with Compose. Having a bit more confidence when you want to animate things, and that's why the performance part was kind of interesting, because that's eventually is gonna probably matter. If you run a lot of animations, or if you're holding it like super wrong and like doing a lot of stuff during, yeah, because I don't know everything. We had Leland a few weeks ago, and he started talking about performance and how the whole recomposition works, and I was like, I just blanked, like a deer in front of a car lights, at night. I was like, what's he talking about? I don't know anything of this stuff, So those are complex topics. So when I like things when they're a bit magic, right? If I want to understand how they work, I can look at the source code, but day by day, if they already works and it's just one line and I can show it to my project manager, that's very helpful. So I look forward to this kind of support from Compose.
Yeah, I think this is a really representative mindset of developers. If it's something is simple to do, then we'll try it and see how it goes. Animation is actually one of those things that really brings out the performance issues of a system, if there is any, simply because it causes re-render every frame, and then when there's a frame drop, it becomes obvious. And you see the visual jank right away. So far, I've been pretty impressed with the overall performance of Compose. Animated visibility. There is a shrink and expand mode, or shrink and expand enter and exit transition. That is actually changing the measurement of that child and reporting to the parent a different size every frame. That's how you get that expand look. So it's actually triggering remeasurement every frame. But so far that I'm really impressed because even though there's the remeasurement, I rarely see jank during that particular animation.
I kind of want to, well, before wrapping up, I kind of have a last question that I was just thinking about now, which is, so with animators, you have the system level animation scale setting in the developer options. Are you considering something like that that we could use? I'm mostly asking not because I need it now, but it's something that I find every now and then myself using to understand how others are doing things. Because if you slow things down a lot, you can break down something that maybe moves very quickly, and you can understand, oh, there's this component and that component, and that, like, you can, I that's just me. I know I have a problem with this, but I can really appreciate a nice animation and understand how it's made in that way. And also sometimes if I'm making my own animations, it's nicer. Although it's not as much of a problem with my animations because I can just use the animation inspector in Studio, so that's not that big of a deal. But
that's a great question. Actually, there's an issue filed in the public bug tracker. I can share the link in a second.
Sure.
It is definitely useful, and it's something that we plan on doing. Just haven't got around to it. The challenge here, or the hold up, is the animation scale in the system is not accessible to anything that's outside of the system apps. I think there's a unsupported app usage annotation on it because we don't want apps to read the animation scale and then change their scale accordingly, so that they always show up. Yeah.
Do you think someone would do that?
Show up. we don't know.
Fair point, though. Fair point.
Well, actually, there are apps that wanted to do it, because when you have there are apps that are incentivized to always show animation even when the animation scale is disabled.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of the options is zero.
Override.
Yeah, or when the animation scale is 0.5x, but on low-end phones the apps might not look so good when it's a quick animation. When there's already frame dropping and it's only 100 milliseconds, so 6 frames, you drop 2 frames, you have a 4-frame animation that's just quick and a little jarring. So people sometimes would want to find out what's the current animation scale and then work around that. And that's not something that we wanted to support in the past when I was working on the framework side. But not that we are working on Compose, which is not a part of the framework. It seems to make sense to have some amount of duration information or duration scale information that's observable from outside. We're thinking maybe we will expose a separate scale, because right now you have the window animation scale, the animation scale, and then I think transition scale. So we might end up adding another one, compose animation scale, or something like. Another thing that we're considering is to be able to allow you to specify that scale in preview. So in Android Studio Preview, you could have
nice.
that preview annotation. So that's another alternative. But Sebastiano mentioned that he wanted to see how other people create their animations. So that wouldn't be previewable. So I think having some system developer debugging options would probably still be the way to go.
I think that's a one-person use case, though.
Very specific nerd request.
Yeah, animation nerd, guilty as charged.
Well,
anyway,
so I
don't want to.
I was thinking about running the giveaway.
I don't want to steal too much more time from Doris. So Ivan, do your magic.
I'm just gonna so for the people in the chat, today's word is pineapple, and you can type it lowercase in the chat. The bot is gonna just keep track of everybody participating to the app. Please, you can start now, and in the meantime, I want to thank you. I want to thank the people that join us for the first time and chatted with us for the first time, and new followers and returning subscribers and new subscribers. Thank you for the support. You can subscribe for free. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Radon.
Thank you.
You can subscribe for free if you have an Amazon Prime subscription. So Amazon Prime gives you a subscription to Twitch channel for free every month. If you want to support the channel, please keep that in consideration. It gives us a couple of bucks per month, and we buy stickers and we send stickers. This week we started shipping them. We were very, very humbled because we shipped them all over the place. Like I mean it, Indonesia, Netherlands, and it was in Italy as well. It was in Belarus. So I'm really, really happy with this. Again, if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. It's important for us because of stats and possible future monetization.
Which means more stickers.
Yeah, more stickers. I mean, we also have a store that you can buy the sticker if you want. They are like larger and fancier than this, but I love this. And you can buy t-shirts if you want. Mark and other people bought the t-shirts a couple of weeks ago. So thank you for the support. And yeah, again, we are running this because we are happy, and this is a nice valve to relieve stress. So we are very happy to have you for in every episode, and thank you for the support. So before I go back to let's run the roll it. Hey, we have a winner. So the Apache 64, congratulations. I'm gonna get in touch with you to get the stickers. There was thank you. And at this point, I can probably also thank a lot Doris, because this was awesome. It was a nice peek into what we have and what we are gonna have in Compose. I like the fact that you are thinking about easy APIs for people like me, that we can't animate the way Sebastiano can animate or Mark can animate. So thank you. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for inviting me. This was a lot of fun.
And obviously, if you end up actually, well, not if, but when you end up shipping those things that we talked about earlier, you're welcome to come and talk about them, because I love animations.
Yeah, I also have some exciting ongoing work related to shared element transition, and that's going to be. I'm hoping. I'm hoping we'll have something ready to share maybe later this year.
Let's hope in a Christmas present then or something.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you again from me as well, not just for being with us, but again to you. And I say this to everyone, but thank you for being with us. It means a lot for me to learn stuff from people that know more about it than I do, and it's always a pleasure to have people with interesting things to learn. So thank you.
That's very modest of you.
No, it's true. Like I'm not joking. It's the whole reason we started this. It's like, Ivan, do you know how to do compose? No. Do you, Seb? No. Okay, let's figure it out.
Let's do it live
Yeah.
in front of the
And
world, because this is also something that we want to show, that you can learn. All dogs can learn new tricks.
Speaking of dogs, I think Mark had the best idea. We need some Spike swag, like some
Merchandise, yeah, I know. I mean, but I also got a light here, because if you check this, I actually prepared a light just for the couch to show the dog, and now the dog is actually sleeping on the floor. I mean, he's messing with me. You talk about Mark being a troll. My dog is the ultimate furry dog, because I mean, he's here. He's actually under my desk. I prepared a light, okay? Okay. Anyway, just
Okay. And with this, thank you, everyone. We'll manage to stay under 2 hours, which I'm impressed, because I could talk about this topic for hours. But we'll have you back, Doris, if you want, obviously, and we'll
course.
talk more about animations. Yay! And let's get the corner radius animated.
Yeah, in the meantime, we'll look into APIs, because I think animating coordinate radius is actually a pretty common use case. Maybe we can come up with something that's more performant.
Hey, it's in the samples. They do it in the samples. So I haven't made that up.
Yeah.
Blame Nick or Chris or whoever. I don't know. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one, and see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.